So before we get started, let's have a quick round of introductions. Christian, would you like to start us off?
Thanks so much, Mallory. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Christian Tidona. I'm the founder of the Biomedics Institute in Heidelberg, Germany, and also in the United States. And we've been partner of AION Labs for a long time. Maybe Mati, you continue.
Sure. Well, Christian, it hasn't been that long because it's only been 2 years since we launched. But my name is Mati, and I'm the CEO of AION Labs. We're a venture studio that is based in Israel of 4 pharma companies, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Merck, and Teva, together with Amazon Web Services and 2 venture capital firms. And of course, strongly built in partnership and complete collaboration with our friends in biomedics. And there are partners in building the model and running it and operating it up until today. And it's great to see everyone. We're located right across the street from the Weizmann Institute in the nice site that you see here behind me, in Rehovot, right above the train station there.
Thanks, Mati. Hi, everybody. I'm Yair Benita. I'm the CTO of AION Labs. I'm a scientist. I have training in pharmacology and also computational biology. Worked most of my career in the interface between biology and data, in pharma and in biotech. And here at AION Labs, together with Sharon, we're responsible for building these challenges together with pharma, identifying the problems that are worth solving, working to find the founders, and also working with the founders to deliver over the next 4 years. Sharon?
Thank you, Yair. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sharon. I'm a VP Ideation at AION Labs. I'm a scientist by training. I have a PhD from the Weizmann Institute on microRNAs. Worked in different biotech companies developing both RNA-based drug and also proteins. And here at AION Labs, I'm working with the pharma partners R&D to define the problem statement and the challenges that today we're going to talk about one of them. So welcome.
Great. Thank you all very much. And before we get into all the talks, just a little bit about the housekeeping. So if you haven't used Zoom webinar before, please look in your Zoom window for a box that says Q&A. And we kindly ask you to submit all of your questions via the Q&A box and not via the chat box. So you are welcome to read and like and comment on other questions in the Q&A box as well. And that way we can see which questions are the most popular to go over. You can submit your questions throughout all of the talks, and then we will answer them once we reach the Q&A portion of the webinar. And next, I will post a few useful links in the chat momentarily, including the link to apply for the call. And it is highly recommended to register in the biomedics career space, so you receive updates on this call, as well as information on any future calls. And finally, this webinar is being recorded, if you can see, and the link to the recording will be sent to your email at this time tomorrow. So without further ado, let's kick off the talks with Christian.
Thank you so much, Mallory. Again, welcome from my side. My job is to give you a little background what biomedics is and how AION Labs came about, so that you get an idea who you would be working with if you win our call in bootcamp. So 1 second, let me quickly share my screen. Here we go. So I reckon you can see my screen right now. Let's start with a little background about the Biomedics Institute. We started it roughly 10 years ago on the campus of the University of Heidelberg in Germany in 2013 as an independent biomedical research institute. And today we're embedded in 2 university campuses in Heidelberg and also at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. And we've actually developed this model on which these calls and workshops are based, based on the idea that we want to close the gap between academia and industry. And we do this using a new innovation model, which combines global crowdsourcing and local incubation of the brightest ideas and talents. And we've actually published this new model in Nature Biotech, as you can see at the bottom. Now, it all comes back to a relatively simple question, which is, what if we could rethink the innovation process in pharma? And the way we are doing it is, instead of looking what's out there and what's available and then connecting it with pharma, we start with a big problem for which there's no solution at the moment. So, and then we articulate this problem, and we call it a challenge. And then we invite the world's best talents to provide ideas how to solve this particular problem. And then we invite the best of the best to a local workshop where they see each other for the first time and come together in groups and solve this challenge and put together all these ideas about potential solutions. And we help you to convert this into a picture perfect and very convincing 15-minute pitch in front of senior management, which is our joint steering committee in the end, who's going to decide who's the winner. And then the winner is relocated to a world-leading innovation hub in Heidelberg or in New Haven, Connecticut, or as you will find out in Israel at AION Labs in Rehovot. And then, of course, once you're on site, you will develop solutions together with experienced mentors from academia and industry. So it's a guided process where we all want you to succeed and where we all help you with solving this very big problem. And what already started in this case is the first step, where we publish this challenge as a call for application. And then we get access to solutions in the form of ideas and talents from around the world, usually. In a normal process, an average process of this global crowdsourcing, we usually get between 200 and 300 registrations from up to 80 different countries. So it's usually, the calls are very international. Then at the workshop, the 15 best candidates then develop their solutions and build their teams. And then the project phase is usually three to 5 years at one of our sites between the winning group leader and the team of this winning group leader. In the past in Heidelberg, we've worked with 11 different pharma companies. You see the logos here. And we have started 22 projects in Heidelberg so far. Each of these projects usually has a research budget of about 5 million euros for 5 years. We've also started 2 new projects in New Haven at our new institute last year, and it's growing nicely. And in Israel, we've run 6 of these workshops in the past and put teams together to start their own company at AION Labs in Israel. We also publish. We have more than 50 publications in peer-reviewed journals, and we also educate bachelor, master, and PhD thesis. In Heidelberg, our focus is very strong on deep disease biology and in combination with artificial intelligence. But what's very important for BioMedX and also our activities with AION Labs is our core values. And the first one is cross-leverage. We inspire and motivate each other to unleash our full potential. So our sites are places for people who have embraced the concept of growing by helping others, who help each other, who support each other, who share ideas. In other words, it's not a place for what we call brilliant jerks. So people who don't share their ideas and work against each other or in silos. Second one is cross-pollinate. We embrace diversity as it is the source of innovation. This is very important because from the more different perspectives people look upon the same problem, the more likely it is that true innovation will happen. So diversity is very important. We come from all kinds of backgrounds, from all kinds of cultures, all places in the world, all religions, all beliefs, all genders. And it's good like that. We embrace this diversity and we celebrate it. And we aim high. Our goal is to enable a new generation of targeted therapies. So our projects usually solve very big problems that have the potential of creating huge impact in the lives of patients. This is the landing page. It's our so-called career space. The ones of you that have not registered yet, as Mallory mentioned, please register as soon as possible if you're interested in this current call for application with AION Labs or any future calls or job offers from BioMedX. Once you have registered and you have opted in, then you get information about calls and job offers. And also for this particular call, you will get gentle reminders with additional information how you can make your application really brilliant and win a ticket for our workshop. Can we attract top talents from around the world? I think at BioMedX, after 10 years and more than 300 fellows, researchers that joined one of our institutes or ION labs, we can say, yes, we can. This is just some of the logos where people came from before they joined us. And where do they go afterwards? In Heidelberg or in New Haven, we generate temporary research teams. So after the 5-year period, people need to look for a new job, and we help them to make their next big career step. And about 50% go to industry, and the other 50% go back to academia and become professors. And since we are a partner of ION Labs, we also have this option that if you win a workshop, you can start your own company. And this is the main difference at ION Labs in Israel. We have lots of different partners. You're going to see that in Mati's presentation as well. But the main difference to the standard BioMedX project is that we're not building temporary research groups. We're building real startups that can fly independently and be successful by themselves once they graduate from ION Labs. Then also we focus at ION Labs entirely on AI for drug discovery and development, while in Heidelberg or in New Haven, we are also, most of the teams are working on deep disease biology in the wet lab. Also a specialty and also an opportunity in this case is that we have multiple sponsors per project. So you're not getting just a mentor and scientific input and inspiration from mentors from one company, but from multiple companies. This depends from call to call. But at ION Labs, almost all the time, all of these partners provide mentors who will help you to shape your project. And our 5-year objective is to seed and incubate 20 startups in this field of AI for drug discovery and development. As I mentioned earlier, six of these processes we've gone through. This is number 7. So with this, once again, if you're interested in more details about this particular call for application, please use the link above, career.bio.mx, and then the call link. And once you click on this link or use this link, you will find detailed information anytime after the webinar about our call. But there is someone on this webinar who can tell you much better about the science and what's behind this call, which is Yair. Yair, stage is yours.
Thank you, Christian. I would just add to what Christian said, that you should register as early as possible so you can get some emails from us and notifications regarding the process. Okay, so I'm going to share my slide. I will discuss the scientific aspects of the project, of the challenge. Just a second. Okay, I hope that looks okay. Christian, do you see the slide?
Perfect.
Yes, okay, thank you. So the title of our challenge is AI/ML platform for targeting RNA with small molecules, and I'm presenting it today together with Sharon, our VP of Ideation. So Sharon, feel free to jump in whenever you need. Okay, so I'll start. I'll just give a very brief overview initially about the specific challenge, then a little bit about the process, in addition to what Christian said, and I'll be happy to take any questions toward the end. So let's start with what this challenge is all about. We worked very closely with our pharma partners to define it. And as you see here, there is basically the way most small molecules are targeting proteins, and proteins come from DNA which then RNA is made, and eventually proteins are made from an RNA template. Usually small molecules or traditionally are targeting proteins. Most of the drugs that are out there are targeting proteins, and that process is well defined, except proteins are actually, not all proteins are druggable. You need to find a specific pocket, modulate the protein function. This is a difficult process. This challenge is about targeting the RNA, the intermediate molecule between DNA and proteins. And I will provide some more information about it. Now, why is it important? Why do we want to do that? So first, most proteins are not actually druggable. So there are many proteins that have been known for decades to cause diseases. One example is KRAS, which is a very famous cancer gene, a cancer-related protein. until now, nobody was able to really come up with a molecule to modulate its activity. And this is true for many other proteins. Antibodies, which have been used I guess more recently in addition to small molecules, can target mostly extracellular proteins. So if they are on the surface of cells or in the extracellular fluid. But still for internal proteins, mostly small molecules are used. Now, being able to target the RNA actually means that almost every protein is druggable because all proteins are made through the RNA intermediate. So this would be the messenger RNA. We will be able to basically modulate any protein. In addition, there's an entire world of non-coding RNA. So tRNA and ribosomal RNA are the most abundant ones, but there are many others. I'm not going to dive into each type and their function, but the ability to drug RNA will allow us to also target important RNA modalities that are associated with disease. So this will be a real game changer. Okay, so what does it mean to target RNA, right? So what do we want to do? As I told you, this is an intermediate process between the DNA, which is the genetic material, and the protein. You can actually use some of the references on my slides to go back to these papers where we took the illustration from. They are also on the website, important reviews that will give you additional information. But really what I want to say here is that although we typically draw the central dogma of DNA, RNA, protein, this intermediate step of RNA is actually very complex. So RNA needs to be transcribed from the genome. It needs to be spliced, which means we remove some components, the introns, and we need to put together the exons. It needs to it needs to transition outside from the nucleus to the cytoplasm. It needs to be translated into proteins. There are many, many different steps, and it's a very regulated process. And actually, you can interfere in many different ways within this process to get the result that you want. So there are many ways to intervene with this process. Why can't we just screen? So, you know, in drug discovery, what people have been doing for decades is to come up with an experiment that is very scalable, let's say for the world of proteins, and then test millions and millions of compounds with robotics through automation until the right compound is identified. Here, it's actually very difficult to come up with a brute force screening approach. And the reason is RNA can be very long, especially before it's spliced. It can be hundreds of thousands of bases long, and even the messenger RNA will be thousands of bases long. And what we really want eventually is a small fragment of the RNA where a small molecule can bind, and we would be able to test it. The way they do it today is taking a small fragment of the RNA that is predicted to be the area where we want the small molecule to bind, attach it to some reporter protein, in this example, GFP, put it into a cell, and then add the molecule and see if that changes, for example, the protein abundance. Right, so this is an experiment that would be doable if the fraction of the RNA is, if the length of the RNA is manageable, and it can be, we can screen probably thousands of molecules, but definitely not on the order of millions, right? And the main question is, which fragment should we clone for this screen? Because we really want to identify the right area in the RNA. Okay, so this is an image I believe we have on the website. What would be the solution that we envision? How would we want to use it? The input would be a specific RNA that we want to target. That RNA will be selected by pharma teams as a target that they want to modulate to cure patients. We can, for example, use the KRAS example. So this is part of the input. What we also need to give as an input is the desired effect. Do we want more of the protein or less of the protein. So we control the abundance. And what we would like to have as an output from the system is the identification of a specific area within the RNA where the small molecule should bind. And given that binding, what would be the outcome? So as I told you, there are many ways to intervene with the function of RNA. For example, the top one is showing RNA synthesis. So RNA is generated from the genomic material. Then there's RNA processing, right? It needs to fold into a specific structure. There's RNA translation. There is the splicing process. There is RNAs interacting with many proteins. So this entire process of going from synthesizing RNA all the way to making a protein is very controlled. So we would like to know what is the mechanism of what is the mechanism, which is one of these options. And eventually, what we would like is also to be able to test for some off targets, because we're looking typically at small structures. It's important to be able to scan all the possible RNA in the cell to say this is a unique site, right? To make sure that we're not blocking other proteins or we're not changing levels of other proteins that could cause side effects. As a secondary goal, we also ask that you provide a three-dimensional complex of that area of the RNA. We don't see it as a must, where it's possible to proceed without it, but if you actually have it, it's easier to design the small molecule drugs instead of screening. Okay, so this challenge is not about finding the molecule, it's about finding where to target the RNA with the molecule. The pharma companies feel that they have enough tools to find the right molecule, but they're looking for a way to identify the site, the correct site in the RNA. Maybe before I jump here, Sharon, did I miss anything? You would like to add something?
No, just that there is a question why to target the RNA with small molecules versus peptide, for example. And we can say that there are other drug modalities to target RNA, right? With siRNA, for example. I think that the advantage of going with small molecules is that there are issues that have been solved, right? Like delivery. Pharma companies know how to work with small molecules. And we think that the field is moving toward more small molecules targeting RNA now that we know it is possible. There are drugs in development. There are approved drugs of small molecules targeting RNA. But still, the big problem is to find whether the target is actually suitable. And a good outcome of the solution also say, sorry, this target is not suitable for targeting with small molecules. Yair, you want to add about that?
Yeah, I think just peptides, as you said, is more challenging in terms of delivering. And imagine most of the RNAs in the nucleus, right? So using a peptide and pushing it all the way into the nucleus and having it stay there for long enough time to make its effect is going to be challenging. But again, this is mostly about, remember, where to bind in the RNA and not so much about the modality. Okay, so how do we plan to test your technology? This is something we work on quite a bit. So once you deliver a technology that you believe actually works, and this is something, of course, we will do together. We don't expect you to bring a technology that works to the workshop. But let's say 2 years into the company's life, once we want to check it, this is what we agreed with the pharma partners. So they will choose the RNA to target. The primary goal would be to provide the sequence or 2D structure for screening. So this fragment that they will put into cells and screen for compounds. And you will also have to provide potential off targets, which they can test. And the secondary goal will be the 3D structures, if available, right? And those will be screened and validated by the pharma partners using their systems. So they offered to do that. assuming that you have a three-dimensional structure, so we, by the way, believe that the 3D structure of RNA will probably be solved the same way AlphaFold was solved it for proteins in the future by others. We don't believe this is the major challenge of this, the major challenge here. But if you will have it, so there will be a secondary goal to also validate with small molecules that are designed for that structure. Okay, so I think that's that for the proof of concept. In terms of some comments on important points for you to consider, I already said we don't necessarily think that the solution should go through a 3D structure of RNA. It's going to be definitely useful, but there are many other ways to work. And currently, what the pharma companies are doing usually does not involve the three-dimensional structure of RNA. Keep in mind that the experimental data is very limited. This is a very new field. It's true that there are some drugs in development, the target RNA, there's one approved drug, but unlike what we have in the space of proteins with small molecules, where there's huge amounts of data, here there will not be a huge amount of data, okay? Data is limited, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears towards something more general that is not specifically about this challenge, but more about our process and why come to AION Labs. So many people ask us, right, maybe you're talented entrepreneurs and you can get funding and do it on your own. That could be great. The advantage of doing it with AION Labs is first, you get to work with the experts in the field. There are teams within our pharma partners who are actually doing this, who are working to find small molecules that target RNA, and they will be working with you. So you will, it's a good opportunity to also benchmark yourself and your methods against what the pharma companies are able to do against, this would be the real world benchmark. And in addition, you will build trust and a relationship with your future customers. You will work with multiple pharma companies. And this is a unique opportunity to also be in this interface with Amazon, working closely with you to develop the technology, plus the pharma companies to build a platform that will be effective and robust. Okay, some maybe more information than what Christian provided in terms of the way the workshop runs. So there are, if you would like to apply, there are basically 3 steps. The first one is you need to decide whether you're applying as a scientist founder. So this would be, you would like to lead the team, versus a scientist co-founder. This would be more, I would like to join a team rather than lead it. And you will have to decide it in your applications, because we consider or we rank the applications in each category separately. In the application review, this is done by the pharma partners who actually are responsible for that challenge. We, together with myself and Sharon, we review all the applications, and we eventually rank them and select the top 5 scientist founders and a top 10 scientist co-founders, so 15 people total. By the way, you can also apply as a team. That's not a problem. You just have to apply individually, but mention in your application that you are members of a team and give us the names. If you apply as a team, of course, you will be assigned together, but if you don't, so let's say everybody applies individually, on the first day of the workshop, each of you will present a session, a short session, my life, my work, my passion, and you will basically choose each other. Each group lead or scientist founder is going to choose or rank the co-founders, and each co-founder is going to rank both the group leads and the other co-founders. And there's a really neat algorithm that Christian develops that finds the optimal solution so that everybody is happy or unhappy equally. And basically, this will be the team you will be working with for 5 days. And through the 5 days, you will work very closely with the pharma mentors who will challenge you, challenge your ideas, push you towards being very creative and guide you. And it's a good opportunity to get to know them. It's an opportunity to get to know you. And after 5 days, you're basically going to present a 15-minute presentation of your solution to our investment committee, which is composed of senior people within our pharma partners and AWS and the venture capital. And the committee will choose one winner, sort of a Shark Tank format, and that winner will be the scientist founder, who is not, by the way, obliged to choose the 2 co-founders that joined him or her on the team. Just like in any other company, it can be offered or not, or even to other co-founders. And so the winning scientist founder is basically selected to launch a new company. This will be your company. We are here to help you and to co-develop with you. Okay, so why should you come, especially if you're a talented entrepreneur? There are, I would say, 2 main reasons that I see that are extremely valuable. I mentioned them here. So first is team building. The workshop is actually the best job interview ever. If you have people you want to work with, being 5 days with them will actually show you if they're the right ones to work with. So you will get to know your co-founders, whether they came with you or these are people that you actually met. It's also a good opportunity for you to feel if you want to work with the pharma partners that will be there with us. It will be a good opportunity for us to know if we can work with you. Plus, from a professional perspective, it's an amazing way to stress test your plan, right? So you come up with a plan, you will get unbelievable feedback, and you will iterate on that plan for several days, and you will see what I think the most amazing thing about the workshop is the distance the teams make from day 1 to day 5. If you do this alone, it will take you like months. Here, it's you can actually improve your plan very quickly. So there's a lot of value. Okay, so to summarize, if you win, basically the way you need to think about it is that you're launching a new company. And what you get from us is up to $2 million, so $1 million on day 1, another $1 million if you meet your milestones after 2 years. You can be in the office space of AION Labs. You have a space with us, with the other companies as well. Of course, everything is provided free of charge, and a lot of the services around running your company. You will have access to AWS as your technology partners. They will offer you also credits and access to engineers. Our VC partners will provide a lot of insights in terms of business models, access to additional investors. I'm sorry I missed Amity here. I should add them. They are the second venture capital that works with us. Being located in Israel, you will have access to excellent human capital, and we help a lot with identifying the right people. You will synergize with other AION Lab startups, a lot of great people who are doing AI in the biology space. You will have access to the entire Israeli healthcare ecosystem. Our pharma partners will give you access to data, will give you access to validation, as I said, and scientific mentoring. And of course, you will have access to Christian and his great team from Biomedics, which have a really great and tested innovation model. And with that, I think I'm concluding my part and switching to Mati. Sharon, would you like to add something?
No, I just want to tell the participant there are some scientific questions and we will address them afterwards in the session of the Q&A.
Okay, thank you. I didn't see the questions.
Great. So thank you, Yair and Sharon and Christian. It's great to see everyone here. I'll just try to wrap up and say a few words about why all these amazing partners decided to establish this venture studio in Israel. And again, like you see, it's 4 pharma partners, 2 venture capital firms, Amazon, supported by the Israeli government, as well as Biomedics. That's our strategic partner in building this whole and running this whole venture studio. And we're operating really as a venture studio in Israel. And the reasons why we decided to build this in Israel is that we do have tremendous ingredients that would go into the future of our industry that are critical for the future of our industry. Israel is a great data hub with electronic medical records going back decades, and excellent healthcare system with great medical research centers, talented individuals, including many that are on this call today, both in the life sciences as well as from the technological side, from the AI side, with many different AI and machine learning companies that have been built. Around 20% of those companies in the AI and machine learning space are in the health tech space. And the government's very supportive in building and helping these type of companies grow as part of a national strategy to help accelerate this industry of health tech and what they call bioconvergence. And even you could see proportionally for a country that's only 75 years old, we have 9 blockbuster drugs that have come out of IP from Israeli academia, including from the Weizmann Institute, which is across the street from where we're situated in Rehovot, and drugs like Copaxone that have helped revolutionize MS, and Humira that was the top-selling drug up until it lost its patent about a year ago. So we do have a legacy of scientific excellence here in Israel on the pharmaceutical side, and where we see that the industry is headed, where the equation of biotech is going to place an increasing importance to the tech part of that equation, meaning the computational side of AI and machine learning, etc. That's where Israel does have particular strengths to be a competitive ecosystem at a global scale. And we're seeing increased interest from many different pharma companies in Israel. And we're seeing it in a phenomenon. And the closest case study we like to talk about is what happened in Israel in the car industry. So Israel, for those that are familiar or not familiar, has had multiple attempts to try to build car companies that were actually manufacturing and selling cars. This is the Susita on the left, the box on wheels, and the electronic car called Better Place, which was probably about 10 years too early before Tesla came out with electronic vehicles. Both of these attempts didn't succeed well, even if we had the technological vision correct, especially on the electronic side. Yet despite that, if you look in Israel, what the Israeli ecosystem in the auto tech industry has is well over 700 startups, all in the automotive landscape. And none of them are actually building and selling cars. They're all using artificial intelligence and computational technologies to be able to help make our cars safer, faster, protect them from cyber attacks, do fleet management, energy efficiency, et cetera, data collection. And all the global all the global automotive companies in the world have R&D centers and automotive and innovation centers here in Israel. And we do have probably the world's leading company in the auto tech space, and in Mobileye, that was really a pioneer in the independent automotive and automatic automotive space, that was sold to Intel for $15 billion and spun out with a very successful IPO. And this is what we're going to see in the future of the pharma industry here in Israel. This is what the government's behind, trying to build up a bioconvergence, meaning the convergence of AI and engineering disciplines, mathematical disciplines with life sciences and biodisciplines, and why the government has decided to allocate significant resources to be able to build up this strategy. And we're starting to see this already happen. So there's a great group of growth startups in the space of AI for drug discovery and development that have started to grow. And I could show many more than the ones that are on this slide. We just randomly chose these. And there's also increased interest and presence and investments of all these global pharma companies here you see on the right in Israel. So we're starting to see this trend starting to happen. including some significant deals, raising of funds and collaborations that happened all throughout 2023. So we are seeing this movement starting to move in this direction in a very successful manner. And that's really at the background of why we established AION Labs in Israel. We are a venture studio tackling the critical challenges of pharmaceutical R&D in the biomedics model, but establishing startups in Israel. And we are committed to helping to build great startups that will accelerate drug discovery and development using data and AI capabilities, and helping to strengthen up the ecosystem here in Israel in order to do that. And that's what's behind all these partners coming together. We're working in a co-development model. So once you're a startup in AION Labs, we help you to make sure that you have a defined problem, to access the data necessary to be able to solve it, to build and train your models, to work with Amazon and the computational technologies, co-develop and really work with pharma partners with their insights, build up the startup and access to future funding, so that you're making sure that we're actually building a great company. And of course, looking to reach out to all of you and to be able to really access the best talents throughout the world, which we've been able to do with the help of biomedics and in the Israeli Startup Nation ecosystem here. And it's a global initiative backed by our partners at a global scale, based in Israel. Some of the senior most people amongst these companies on our board, on our investment committee, and actively working with well over 200 R&D executives at any given point from across our partners. And we've established 5 startups in the 2 years since we've started, and really forming a 6th one as we speak. And hopefully you'll compete and come meet with us to create our next startup in this space. And we're very excited about doing that. The model, I think we've discussed a lot, but really what we're doing is taking a defined problem, finding the best potential scientist founders, to be able to then, through our workshop, to be able to then select the one team or founder that we will then back them with pre-seed investments and all the support necessary to make your life easy so you can focus on the science and ultimately be able to validate that your technology works and provide you with the support necessary so you can raise your next rounds with our whole network of investors and be able to grow independently and graduate from AION Labs successfully. And as Yair mentioned before, and this is just one illustration, when you are a startup in AION Labs, and this is just one company of Denovi in the protein and antibody space, they have on their regular meetings on a monthly basis access to all these great individuals and more. The head of computational biology for Merck, the head of antibody engineering, biologics engineering at AstraZeneca, their counterpart from Pfizer, et cetera, great VCs backing them, that really they meet with on a regular basis and are able to help them grow their company and make sure that they have everything they need so that they can succeed in a space that is incredibly difficult to succeed in. And when you're at one of our workshops, like Yair mentioned, it's a great process for us to get to know you and for you to get to know the industry. And we will say that you could be a candidate in workshop number 1, not win it, but then work in one of our companies thereafter. So we get to know you, and I would say many more of the people that have competed in our workshops actually start working in our companies across the companies. So you can participate in workshop number 1, excel there, and then we can offer you a job in the startup that was built out of workshop number 5, for example. So it's really a great opportunity for us to get to know you, you to get to know the industry, to become one of our select alumni. Roughly half of our alumni are from Israel, half from abroad, and it's a great way to be able to get an entry into the ecosystem. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to leave my contact information up here. You're welcome to follow us and connect with us on LinkedIn, both AION Labs and Mati Gil, my name, or any of the other speakers here. Follow us on Twitter, as well as reach out to us on email. We're very accessible at any given point. We answer you very quickly. I'm going to mention Arnon Fluxman, who's also on the webinar with us. We'll leave his name and email in the Q&A and in the chat, because he's a great address for anyone that has any future further information and further questions about the challenge and what the capabilities are to actually come and be selected as one of the 15 finalists that we're going to bring to our workshop and get to know very intimately.
Thank you very much.